Hello and welcome to a new episode of Airport CEO here on BongoPlanes, where we in today's episode will take a very brief look at the new Alpha 36 update of the game, which I believe is the last alpha update before the game is moved into beta, and of course then we also continue constructing our lovely replica of London City Airport. But before we get too far into today's episode, if you should end up enjoying this video, then don't forget to leave a like. That really does help out the series. And of course, if you are new around here, why not hit subscribe? Now, the first thing we will handle or tackle here is the new Alpha 36 update. And what we are getting with that is emergency services, so a police station and a fire station. And we are also getting a tool where we can check pathways in the game, which I think can end up being very useful. With the fire department and the police station, obviously there is then the aspect that emergencies can occur at your airport. That means, for example, maybe medical emergencies. I'm not quite sure if that is in the game, but I've seen some screenshots of, for example, aircraft having some issues on the runway and stuff like that. So obviously we won't really see much of that right now because we're still constructing the airport, but I imagine as soon as we at least get some general aviation in, that could already start then happening, where we might see some of these events occurring. Now, there are also a few other aspects with this new Alpha 36 update. So apparently you can also kind of plan security routes, so for the security staff. I'm not entirely sure how necessary it is to make these routes, or if they would just go out randomly otherwise. But obviously we really can't test it out right now because there isn't really anything to do at the airport as we're still constructing. But we will familiarize ourselves with this update alongside you guys during this play, and we will see what we can do with it. I could have done a test play before recording this, but honestly speaking, I'd rather concentrate right now on building the airport. And the update is really nice. It has a lot of nice potential, but most of it is really for when you have an active airport. And as we aren't really there, I didn't really see the full reason or full point in spending a lot of time trying to figure out what to do with it, as we really can't execute any of it here at the airport right now. So I hope you forgive me for that, but we will obviously get into this update much more as we progress with this airport. Now, where we left off last time was basically here, where we were trying to construct the entrance to the international zone. So that's what we will be building right now. We also need to kind of figure out what we want to do with our non-international stands, how we want to guide people to and from these stands. The whole concept, of course, with the airport, just for those of you who haven't watched the previous episodes, we want to try to really separate inbound and outbound passengers. It's something you're supposed to be able to do in the game, but it's something that I haven't really tried out yet. I haven't really made any airports where you utilize this feature of the game, and it's something that you actually do very much at London City, so that's why this is really ideal to try it out. But we need to figure out how we are guiding these people. For the international part, it should be fairly easy, but we just need to figure out how we want to guide passengers that are going to and from the non-international stands, which are only 4, so it's not a huge part of the airport, but we need some of them because we can't choose the flights that are offered to us. We can't choose if we only want to have international flights or only non-international flights. That's kind of coming at random, so we need a bit of both. But London City does also have, I guess, mostly international traffic, but obviously there is also some traffic UK internally. Now, another unique aspect of London City in real life is, of course, that the airport is mainly surrounded by water, which was an aspect that I didn't really think we could replicate. Now, there was one of you guys who had a comment with a link to a video where someone was building an airport where they were trying to kind of replicate water, at least the looks of water, which was awesome. Now, I would very much like to credit this person who sent me the link, but I was looking through all my comments from the last few videos and I just could not find the comment anymore. I don't know if it's been deleted or whatever happened to it. So I'm really sorry, because I really do believe in credit where credit is due. But that basically means that we will try to build something that will end up looking like water, which I'm really excited about. But yeah, you guys will see once we have actually done so. We'll make a little bit, we will start on working on that in this episode, but I think we will go more into that in the next episode. Then there was, of course, the whole discussion about should we switch off the animation of construction or should we leave it on? Now, it didn't seem to be something that was really interesting a lot of you guys, because there were only comments from those people who had originally talked about that. I'm kind of indifferent to it, but as you can see, for this recording I've left it on. But I think, honestly speaking, what I will do is simply leave it on when I'm recording, but once we've then kind of done all the recordings for an episode, then I will switch off the animation, which basically means I'm saving a lot of time, because I don't need to let the game just running in the background, constructing all the things before starting to record the next episode in this series. So I guess an argument could be that if we just switch off animation always, is that things could move on faster, but I really don't see how they could, because I'm basically constructing as fast as I can, and I'm very rarely waiting for anything being finished constructed. And if I'm waiting for something to be finished being constructed, then normally I'm just moving on to another part of the airport and continue working on that. So but it does save me a lot of time switching it off after recording, because, as I say, then I don't need to wait for it and can basically just jump into recording the next episode in the series. But so I think we will just leave it as it is right now. I hope you guys can live with that. If you really can't, then feel free to air your frustration in the comment section below and try to give more arguments why we should just permanently switch it off. Anyway, enough talk about that. As you can see here, we are constructing a kind of another little arm here in the terminal to support the non-international stands that we have here at the airport. And we still need to figure out how we want to guide our passengers that are coming from that part over to the exit of this security zone, so they can go over and pick up their luggage. And we also need to figure out how do we deal. I mean, the game doesn't really have passengers connecting from one flight to another, so in that sense it's really simple. You have passengers going outbound, and we have passengers going inbound, and nothing in between. So you don't really need to mix any passengers. So I guess we can just ignore that. We don't really need to give them a path to go directly to, for example, the international zone to a connecting flight, because that doesn't really exist in the game. And if really that should happen, well, then they will have to leave the security zone and then check in again and then go through security. But that would probably happen at London City anyway, because I don't really think they have a transfer. Do they have any transfer? Anyone who's watching this who knows more about London City, it's been a while since I've been to London City, and obviously this year I haven't been. But is there actually the possibility of a transfer of a connecting flight at London City? Does that happen? I don't think so. I mean, I guess technically they will have something, so passengers could go from when they're coming into the airport because they just arrived, and then go straight up to the... So basically not having to leave the security zone, but I have never noticed it. Let's say it like this. I've never noticed it, so... but hey, if you if you know that it exists, then let me know. Then we might have to try to see if we can also integrate it into the build here, even though I don't think passengers will ever use it. Anyway, so basically... So if we add stairs here, and then passengers arrive... But then they would obviously go upstairs. But then they could go upstairs, they could go to the elevators and go downstairs, and then basically leave the security zone and pick up their luggage. They just need to work it out here how I want the pathway for passengers to be that are coming in from the non-international flights. And we need to fix the security zone here because that's a little bit broken. Let's see. So yeah, okay. So if we need to have all the gates included, so we need to move them a bit further on, so that we have all 4 gates included. And then, so if you have them here, then they go upstairs. Alright, sorry guys, I just needed to have a little think about how I wanted to do that, and basically there's no need for my passengers to go upstairs from here, because as we don't have connecting flights in the game, they will always want to leave the security zone. So we have the security zone exit here on ground floor level, so we just build a pathway straight to that, which will go in here just after the passport controls. Yeah, really simple. And of course, if we then end up deciding, yeah, okay, we want to have at least the possibility of passengers having being able to go from basically arriving and then going up to another flight as if they were connecting, well, then we can still add some stairs somewhere if we really want to do so. So yeah, that should be possible, but I don't think this is an aspect in the game so far, and I mean, it would be awesome if they would add it at some point, but I doubt it will happen here now, because as far as I know, this is the last alpha before moving into beta. So yeah, anyway, simple pathway and nothing too complicated. So, I also, of course, always like to talk a little bit about what's happening on the channel here while building my airport, something I've done in the last few series, and I like to give you some well, exclusive information, or at least exclusive in the sense that I'm often revealing stuff here early before I tell anywhere else, to reward you guys who are watching this and actually getting this far into an episode. So, well, if you're watching it on the day that this video has been released, an hour before this video will be released, I would have released my 400th episode of review, where I'm reviewing die-cast aircraft models, mainly in scale 500, but every now and then I also like to take a look at a scale 200 aircraft model, which I'm usually reserving for these special episodes when I'm reaching a specific goal. And yeah, 400 episodes, I think that really warrants it. Now the thing is that I'm recording this episode before I'm releasing the 400th review and before I've actually finished editing it. And I have 2 aircraft at the moment that I'm considering to use for it, or let me say it another way. I have one aircraft model that I very much would like to use, but I can't right now because I'm waiting for something to arrive for that model, which is really, really annoying because I have recorded basically everything. I just need to wait for a few things, and I don't think they will arrive in time, because that model would have been perfect for a 400th episode. So instead of doing that, I have actually bought another scale 200 model, which I have already recorded the review of, and I think is more likely that you will have seen. If you have watched it before this episode, you will know which model it is, and the other one will just have to wait. Now that is very cryptic, I know, but it's something that has been it's been bugging me because I really wanted to review this one model and I really can't, so I had to review a different one for the 400th episode. But I still think it's a lovely review. If you haven't watched it yet, then watch it right after this one. Anyway, you might have noticed that I've added like this huge chunk there of terminal building on the north side of our runway, and I always said we won't build anything on the north side. And why are we building such a massive building? Well, that's something to do with the whole adding water. Now, we have no water in the game, but the technique that I was referred to is basically build a terminal building, remove the walls, and then put floor on top, because we have floor in different colors. And so we could make it look like water, at least some rudimental water. But I think it looked really awesome in the build that I saw, so we will try to replicate that. But that's really something we will look into in the next episode or the coming episodes. So back to the gameplay here now. it's time to work a little bit also on the departure hall. So that means check-in. We need to figure out how we want to do that. And of course, we also want to look a little bit into how we are dealing with the luggage, basically not just of passengers checking in and leaving the luggage, but also retrieving it. So I think we will add 2 baggage claim areas and we will basically build the whole system so that one will be fed with luggage from the international flights and one with the luggage from the non-international flights. Obviously the international flight zone will probably get more busy if we can get the flight office. But yeah, so we will also have that split up, even though it will of course be basically in the same room, even though the areas obviously have to be individual. Anyway, actually I have one more really exclusive thing that's like super exclusive. So this is really for you OGs that are still here in the episode, which I guess will be a bit longer today than the last few episodes, but hey, that's okay. So the really super exclusive information that I have for you guys, something that I am working on right now, is actually something that I said earlier this year would not happen. And maybe none of you know the series. I guess some of you might know it. The OGs know the series Versus on my channel, where I'm comparing 2 aircraft model. And yeah, I might just have gone out and bought the same exact model, but from 2 different manufacturers, which of course is perfect for an episode of Versus. So that might happen. It will probably just be a one-off episode, so it's probably not a return of the series, but there have been quite a few people asking about that or for that over the years. So and it's a series I have really neglected, but yeah, so the super exclusive information, there might just be a one-off episode coming up fairly soon. Alright, so one thing I've been thinking about is that passengers that are, after they've arrived at the check-in and they're going up towards the flights, they will come upstairs here and then they could just walk straight to the gates. But how often do we actually see that at airports? I mean, the good airports, they allow passengers to do so, but the not so good ones, they first force their passengers through the shopping hell, as I like to call it. And I'm kind of tempted to replicate that here. So we're basically walling off this this area so that passengers kind of have to walk a little bit further back before they can actually go to their gates. And then we have this space that we can actually use and add shops and restaurants and stuff like that. It might not actually have the effect that passengers will go into these shops, but at least they will walk past them before they can go straight to the gate. Might not be ideal for happiness of the passengers, but it could add a little bit more revenue. But we will see. It's an experiment. Alright, so I think the last thing we were working on here in today's episode is the luggage system. The luggage system? Yeah, that's what it's called. Don't know why I'm making it so complicated. I think we will make it rather simple. Obviously we have the baggage drop area, and all the way over here we have our baggage bays, so we just need to connect them up. I like to normally always make all this underground stuff a staff zone, just in case some passengers should, for whatever reason, find their way down here. That won't happen if it's all staff zone. That way we are sure that only staff will go down here and none other passengers will find their way down here, at least. Well, actually, that's the question now that we have the whole security update. Maybe passengers will intrude anyway. We will see. I don't think so, but we will see. So we of course also need to have the baggage scanner, and then so let's just put it over here. And then this is the manned one. I've still not figured out why you would want to take any of the others. You also have individual scanners, but why would you do that? I'm not quite sure. Anyway, then we have this baggage destroying unit thingy. And then we have over here we have the baggage retrieval area. So we have these two. So yeah, I it's also very simple. We basically just have one line, and then we use the tilt trace to split up the luggage so that it arrives at the baggage retrieval area where it should be. Very, very simple. A system that I've used with pretty much all my airports, and it just works. So I don't see any reason why you should do differently, and honestly speaking, I don't really know how much different you could do it. Anyway, so we will have two really lovely baggage retrieval areas here that are connected up with our baggage base. All right, guys, so I think we are really closing in on the end of the video. Next time we will continue, of course, with working on that. We will also continue really working on the exterior, so we want to add the whole water thing, and I have some ideas how we can actually also add a little bit more non-aviation stuff related around the airport. Obviously, London City is located right in the middle of the Docklands in East London, so there are a lot of buildings around, and we could try to replicate a little bit there. I have some ideas what I want to do there, and I think we will look into that in the next episode. And of course, we also want to start having some planes coming in. We will of course start with general aviation because that's the easiest setup. And hopefully we will have time enough for that as well in the next episode. Anyway, much still to do, and all that is coming up in the next episode and the many episodes after that. Now, with that, I would like to say thank you so much for having watched today's video. Of course, if you have enjoyed this video, then don't forget to leave a like. And of course, if you are new around here, why not hit subscribe? That would be absolutely awesome. With that, I'd like to say thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.